Shalom, family. This is Sister Rachel. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late. Just this. So, shalom, shalom. I hope you can hear me. Just put a one in the chat if you can hear me. I'm still just getting myself organized here. So, I get a little nervous and then I start dealing with tech. And so, just have some patience with me, if you will, family, as I get myself together. Shalom, 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 everyone. So I am just getting a bit of a delay on my mic. I'm just going to put this up so you guys can see it. And I have not used StreamYard for a while, so just put a one in the chat if you guys can hear me. I'm hearing my own voice. Hallelujah. Thank you, BG. And I'm just going to do a share here over to Hebrew Connect. I usually start talking and I need to I'm trying to learn some lessons from some of my brothers who are way more organized and very slow, but they get it done with peace. Hallelujah, family. All right. So I can see that you guys can see that. Just have to. So we definitely have a lot to talk about. Although it's going to be a short one, I just am dealing with a bit of tech stuff, organizing some stuff here. Test, test. Testing, testing. Okay, my mic is sounding okay. But why aren't you guys hearing me? Yeah, so now I'm just testing my voice to make sure I'm not distracted by my own audio, family. All right, so that's working out now. All right, family, man, we have a lot to talk about today, but it's actually also going to be short. So let me just get into this and hopefully I can stay somewhat organized. This was very much in the spirit impromptu. And so I'm going to just pray in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach that the Ruach HaKodesh will lead us into all truth and show us things to come. I just lift my hands to the heavens and just praise Yahuwah and ask Yahuwah, the great and mighty Abba, Yahuwah, to just anoint the hearers, the listeners, and Baruch everybody. We ask Abba Yah that you would cover us with your kabod of glory and give us ears to hear and eyes to see, that we would submit to your Ruach HaKodesh, who would speak to the hearers, that you would plant the seed of your word in our hearts, break up the fallow ground, create in us a clean heart and a renewed and steadfast spirit, and give us wisdom, revelation, and knowledge according to your Ruach through your sacrifice when you came in the form of your Son, Yahweh. Hallelujah. Glory to Yah. And so thank you so much, BG, Clifford Possible, Mitzi Shishi. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. That's a little complicated. Welcome, family. So the reason why I'm speaking with you today, family, is that I got a prophetic vision yesterday. And actually, it was earlier on in the week, it was Wednesday, that I was just kind of staring at my computer, and had been watching a video, and what came up on my screen as an ad was prepare for an emergency. So that was on Wednesday. That was like well before this Microsoft crash happened. And I was going to put it up. I was like, yeah, should I be putting up just, I'll put it on my community tab sometimes when I get a prophecy. And just a little one, because I get all these little ones. They're like little birth pangs, right? They're the contractions, right? And so sometimes I get big ones. And so I just kind of was like, so much was going on with me at the time. And so I just kind of let it go, because I get a lot of them and they happen and they come to pass. But I'm like, so much is happening right now. It's hard to cover everything and even to put out the prophecies as they come forth. They're little things like this. Shalom, Jerome Day, Baruch. And so I saw this, like I said, prepare for an emergency thing come up, through some kind of ad on my computer, and it just stuck in my head, and so then the next thing that happened was I'm trying to work on a number of teachings right now, but really I've been going before Yahuwah for various reasons. He's doing work on me as usual. And so we just had a beautiful Shabbat yesterday, and he really did some wonderful things in me. And so he said, I got to come out with this message. And as I was doing my study yesterday, I got a vision. I got a vision of a council of brothers, black men, around a huge table. It said, this is the council. And then I got this image of all of these. It was like a New York Times cartoon, like a cartoon from back in the 70s when I grew up, and you would see these cartoonists draw these political images. And so I saw, the Gaddafi type, I saw with the big turban, and then I saw the Monopoly guy in black and white. These are these black and white cartoons, political cartoons that used to be done in the past, and various black hats dumping barrels of oil on top of the heads of this council. And it was like this council of Negroes, basically, of Nagas. And so so that was the vision. I'm not going to give you an interpretation, because sometimes I interpret the vision and I don't really have 100% of it. Oftentimes Yah will give me a vision and he doesn't give me the interpretation. And I'm like, why don't you give me the interpretation? And I think it's because he's proving me to you guys. He's proving me to you guys, I guess. I don't know. So hold on to that vision of these various oil monopoly men. So this is the 1% and the people in charge of the petrodollar dumping this oil on top of this Negro council sitting around a big boardroom table. And it was all in a black and white political illustration. So that was the picture. And so this is one of the things we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss prepare for an emergency because, this is looking very much like, as leave the world behind. Right now, we've got this Microsoft outage going on, and the 911 emergency system is also down. They don't know when things are going to be repaired again. People are stuck at airports. We've got the blue screen coming up. And so, of course, the marine kingdom is rising up against us. And so prepare for an emergent sea. Prepare for the marine kingdom to come at you, but prepare also, Yasharel, to emerge from out of the sea. All right? To prepare to emerge from out of the sea. And of course, we are dealing with the two-headed eagle, the two-headed bird, as usual, both the right and the left wing. And this is a message, obviously, to the Gentiles grafted in, because the deception the Gentiles are under right now is pretty incredible. And they're still not understanding the Hegelian dialectic. They're still not understanding the two-headed eagle. And so, I'm speaking to all of the saved, the Gentiles and Yasharel, to the Yehudi first and then the Gentiles. And so the two-headed bird, that ugly bird, is coming at us again. Now, so we're going to touch on these things, the 911, the Microsoft outage, and preparing for an emergency. And so let's take a look at just a brief description of this Microsoft outage. I'm just going to look up any old thing on it, because I'm just going to move it over there. This Microsoft outage is very questionable. All right. And it was set up by what? It's really curious. CrowdStrike. Shalom, Vanna. If that doesn't tell you something, CrowdStrike, really? CrowdStrike is the name of the company. Okay. And Microsoft having a global monopoly on corporate software is the reason why monopoly laws, anti-monopoly laws, were created, and of course is the reason why the lobbyists got rid of them. Because how can one company just control the world like this? And there are even rumors, actually, that Netanyahu said, we can take you out with the press of a button. So the question is here, family, was this a test or a threat? Because apparently what they were doing was they were testing. Well, let's just read through it here. So, so these are all the flights that were canceled. Let's see if I can just get a more basic article. But basically, so, and they're saying home computers weren't affected by it, but yet flights are affected by it. And it's caused a global network of, so it's an epic IT crash is what they're calling it. That brought the Western world to a temporary standstill, as it was a product of human error rather than a Russian cyber attack. Okay, like they talked about this, I guess there was a SolarWinds hack of 2020. But really, because they actually have what is called AI compilers that will double check code. And I was listening to the Canadian prepper, and he was saying, now I posted this before he posted his video, just so FYI. But he said that they have AI compilers that will double check the code. And this was an upgrade that was rolled out before it was even tested. And he said he went into the the geeky understanding of this, and probably the IT guys like Woke Now and Teo and Benaiah Israel would know more about this kind of stuff. But they said there were three numbers that were missing, and they basically had to shut down the main computers and then reboot everything off of another set of computers. That just sounds to me like we're changing horses. Right? Like don't you if you're just changing horses. They're just prepping for a change. And to me, it could possibly be um, it's the two-headed bird, right? Because this evil bird, right, of Edom, is he not global? Don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing, as I have said many times before. When we look at the two-headed eagle of Esau, Edom, it's global as well. All right, it's not just in America, the right hand and the left hand manipulating people. And it's curious. We're going to get into this Palantir stuff in a second. But to me, this is the beginning of the great switchover. Okay. And so tell me what you think. Comment in the chat, family, and tell me what you think about the prophecy. What do you think the vision Yah gave me is about? Because the petrodollar is falling, right? And there is a great threat to, if America's oil fails, then it can affect China. However, we know that China is now switching to getting all of its oil from Africa, not only Russia, but also Africa. So oil is playing in the big picture here as well. So tell me, BG is saying it's worse than what they're saying. Yeah, and is it in my opinion, I think it is a global cyber attack from the elites masquerading as a false flag error? Because how is it just so well timed with this whole other situation with, them switching horses with Biden, with this situation also with, Trump. So these are the questions, but let me just read through a little bit more of this, family. And sorry if I read a bit too much. I was trying to read this beforehand. I just didn't have enough time. So they're saying fixing the problem turned out to be straightforward, though tedious, which will doubtless lead people to think if it of it as a hiccup rather than a single tech company, than as a dry run for something much worse. Look at here, they're putting it right here. As a simple hiccup rather than a dry run for something much worse. Let me magnify this a bit more. They're calling it the epic IT crash. Come on, family. Do you believe this was intentional? So, fortunately, fixing the problem turned out to be straightforward, though tedious, which will doubtless lead people to think of it as a hiccup rather than as a dry run for something much worse. Is it a dry run for something much worse, family? What do you think? After all, if a single error by a single tech company can cause this much disruption, imagine what a determined adversary could do, just as the pandemic forced us to confront the limitations of global supply chains that had been created to improve efficiency rather than resilience. This CrowdStrike mistake should trigger a reappraisal of our networked world. And the societal risks of industrial consolidation in the tech industry. CrowdStrike is one of the largest companies in the cybersecurity market. So, now somebody was saying the executive over CrowdStrike just sounded very off when he kept saying things like, So daughter of Zion says yes, and so does Jeremy. So he kept saying things like our adversaries, our adversaries. So I don't know. See, let me see if I can find it. If one of you guys could find it, I would really appreciate it. CrowdStrike, and just put the link in the chat, or email it to me. CrowdStrike executive apologize. Because Yasharel is the adversary, right? And Yasharel is the 144. And this is another thing I'm going to talk about, family, is how we can prepare. But I guess here he is. Is that him? No. No, I can't find anything. CrowdStrike executive apologizes. I can't find it. But anyway, but what the CrowdStrike error has revealed above everything else is how fragile our networked world has become. See, they're not saying much about it in this article. And of course, this is one of the paid for and bought. But people are literally stranded at airports for up to 2 weeks. And they're saying bringing the computers back online will take up to 2 weeks. And also getting deliveries, etc., from Amazon and so on can be delayed. So what is that saying? Family, answer me again. Was it a test or was it a threat? Because again, apparently this is what Netanyahu said. He said, we can hold you guys up with the press of a button. So let's continue. Now, so obviously, as I said, leave the world behind is a strong signal for this, because remember, the first thing to happen in leave the world behind was everyone got blue screens. So everyone's getting blue screens in the corporate world, but they're saying it's not affecting desktops. They're saying it's not affecting computers. So why would that be if it wasn't meant to be a particular yank on the leash of the dog to say, settle down? If they weren't, tuning the horses up. You know what I mean? Like when you tune up a horse, you discipline it and you get it back into line. So was this a tune-up? Was this a threat? Was this a look what we can do? Because they've shut everything down. Now, also right now, just in terms of the timing thing, we have all the protests going on in Kenya, right? I'm not going to show you guys a lot of visuals today because otherwise I get so bogged down and my broadcast doesn't go up because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. But they've got protests in Kenya to oust the government. Yeah, BG says they're testing the waters for sure. So they're ousting the government there in Kenya. And also we've got Abraham Traore and a lot of the ECOWAS nations. We know they're already breaking away, but they, even in the Congo, they are protesting against military in the Congo, European military in the Congo. So all of this is happening at the same time. And so if this guy was if this executive from CrowdStrike, didn't he just strike the crowd, is saying that they're worried about their adversaries. Who is their adversary? Well, in Satan's upside down world, these guys are the adversary, the Negroes. And, if these were the Gentiles grafted in, the Gentiles grafted in, right? So now that's one thing that's going on. Now, regarding Trump, people have asked me to comment on that. And, it's like, that's a nanya. It's like, it's so obvious that, Trump is just one of the two evil birds, two heads of the evil bird, the two wings of the evil bird. And it's pretty obvious that's an FALSEFLAG. And, they already, which I suspect Reagan also was the same thing. Ha-Satan ain't got no new tricks. When they live afterwards, it's obviously going to be for the 1% agenda. When they don't, it is also for the 1% agenda. But it means that the one they save is going to be working, going to be the one they pick, basically. If they expire, that's not the one they're picking. Okay, if that makes any sense. It's just a technique. It worked. It really galvanized people around Reagan before, and it's going to galvanize people around Trump. But as to whether or not, I think what they're looking to do, because right now, I think Lisa Cabrera is talking about Joe Biden's official withdrawal, right? He's officially withdrawing right now from the election. Now, I don't know if that means he's going to withdraw from presidency at the moment, but just from the election, because it's not like he was, unalived or something, right? That's the only case in which a vice president will take over. But with all of these things happening, they've got to come up with an explosive narrative that will create problem, reaction, solution in the elections to generate chaos, confusion, and disorder and every wicked thing, because that's what Ha-Satan does. He is the author of confusion, and they absolutely need that confusion in order to control the masses. And so they've got to ramp up or ratchet up that election moment to serve that purpose. And you know what, family? Let me just check something as well that I meant to check. And we are entering into Tisha B'Av. I think we actually may have passed it, family. Tisha B'Av, if you guys don't know what that is, let me show you. I wanted to do something on this, but I was underwater, you guys. I was underwater this week. I've been going through stuff and I was underwater. So let me just pull out the calendar here. And then we're going to continue on with this whole Trump thing. But this is significant. Just give me a second. And for those of you out there, it's really important to get the Moed appointed times calendar, because it is one of the Kodesh ways in which we also interpret the times. That's the purpose of it, right? That's why we observe the appointed times. We observe the appointed times because Tisha B'Av, the destruction of the temple. Now remember, we are the temple of Yah, right? We are the temple of Yahweh. And so coming up here on the 24th is the fast of the 4th month. And this is also, let me see. We're also coming up on Tisha B'Av here. Yeah, right here. So it's on the 24th. Sorry, I made a mistake with that month, with the previous month. But we have Tisha B'Av, which is the destruction of the first and second temple, and the Spanish Inquisition were all on Tisha B'Av, which is on the 24th, 3 days from now. All right. What do you guys think about that? Put it in the chat. Let me know. What do you think about that? Okay. So this is when the Spanish Inquisition began. This is when the first temple was destroyed, and this is when the second temple was destroyed. I call the third temple, the Spanish Inquisition, the destruction of the third temple, because the people are the temple. And now whatever has happened to Israel is turning back again on the Gentiles, because they became Yah's people. And so now they must be judged in the same way Yah's people were judged. So it's the destruction now of Babylon and their temple. And this is why these things are ramping up at this particular point. And if these delays for this Microsoft snafu are going to happen, they're extending into and through Tisha B'Av. Okay, Tisha B'Av, the fall of the temples on the 9th day of the Kodesh, 5th, commemorates the destruction of the first and second temples in ancient Israel. Okay, this is the time we're in. It is a day of mourning and fasting. So this is coming up, fam. So we need to do and declare the fast. This is also the day when the Jews were expelled from England in 1290, when King Ferdinand, sorry, I have a mistake here. And also in 1492, when King Ferdinand and Isabella removed them from Spain. All right. And also it says Hebrews in America were sold to Africa and Sierra Leone and the West Indies, and also sold from North America. This was the beginning of the captivity of Israel via Egypt. Okay. So the first temple built by King Solomon was destroyed when the Babylonians, led by Nebuchadnezzar, sacked Jerusalem in 586 BC. The second temple was built on the site of the first temple and completed in 516 BC. It was destroyed in 70 CE or 70 AD by the Roman siege of Jerusalem, led by Vespasian, a general of the Roman Empire. The destruction of the two temples took place on the 10th of the Kodesh 5th month, 6.5 centuries apart. So you know it begins on the 9th because it's the eve of the 9th, and the actual event takes place on the 10th day. So that is a day that we need to fast. Okay? Now in the 5th month, on the 10th day of the month, which was the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, which served the king of Babylon, into Jerusalem and burned the house of Yahweh and the king's house and the house of Jerusalem and the houses of the great men, and burned he with fire. Also the pillars of brass that were in the house of Yahweh, and the bases and the brazen sea that was in the house of Yahweh of the Chaldeans break, and carried all the brass of them to Babylon. So this is a month of destruction. March is also a time of war, but Tisha B'Av is a time of destruction of the temple. All right. So let's continue here. So what has happened before will happen again. As it was in the beginning, so it shall be in the end. Whatever was done by the nations to Israel will be done to the nations. So this is the beginning of the destruction of their temple. Am I making sense, family? All right. So again, back to the false FALSE, FLAG, and we know it worked on Reagan. So wouldn't Hasatan also try it with Trump to galvanize people towards him? And we know that we are not caught up in these kinds of things, and the left, white, and right wing are the same wings of the evil bird. And as for the Gentiles grafted in and whatever is going on this, I suggest you go over to Redacted, because they did an amazing story with Whitney Webb on the Uniparty. And basically that is the whole evil two-headed bird. And they go into Palantir, okay, which is run by Peter Thiel, okay? He is the key funder of Palantir, and he also owns Rumble. He also, I believe, had shares in Facebook, and they data mined Facebook and all of the profiles, because data, what are they calling data? And you tell me, family, data is the new oil. Okay, so remember, in the vision, oil was dumped on the heads of the new Negro Council. All right, so oil, they say oil is, that data is the new oil. And so that's what Palantir does. And they are connected to the CIA through the CIA's organization called In-Q-Tel. In-Q-Tel. And he, or I guess the uniparty engine, In-Q-Tel / Palantir, finance both parties, both the Democrats and the Republicans. All right. And under Palantir, pre-crime, through all this data mining and determining whether or not groups like the Hebrew Israelites or politically active or awake individuals is what they data mine through Facebook. I believe right now that Palantir and the CIA has it, in my opinion, has its hands strangling TikTok right now. Strangling TikTok. Like, TikTok is so messy right now. It's so out of order. It is so under the neck of it is so under the boot, I believe, of these kinds of organizations. And one of the things about Palantir is that and Peter Thiel, he is a key leader in the Bilderberg meetings with Eric Schmidt, who is the key Democratic financer. All right. So the two of them head these Bilderberg meetings. So that's the Democrats and the Republicans and basically the CIA. And channels like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of FOJC, but it's, I watch FOJC and I watch Now You See TV, because you see what's going on spiritually with the Gentiles. And it's so funny because FOJC, they actually still use the name Jesus. And it's ironic that they're called FOJC, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But yeah, so they are, I use them as a sort of measure or litmus test for what's going on in the Christian right-wing community, because they are right-wing and they are Christian, and they really do a deep study of things. And also they have been doing, let me just show you them here. They've done some videos. They did a recent video I think it was on Now You See TV, actually. They discussed the whole Trump thing. They discussed the whole Trump situation and the whole idea of a false flag. Let me show you. So you guys can go and take a look at it. So you're seeing that they are not, the white Christians are beginning to, or their agents, because I believe that there's a whole set of agents that are operating in all of this, and they're trying to do a changing of the guard back to black, but also they have to transition their agents for the new kingdom, new system, for Antichrist and everything. So, but yeah, so they just did a really interesting coverage of this whole Trump thing. So you can kind of see where they're at. And Now You See TV is, like I said, Christian right wing, and Redacted also did their Whitney Webb story. So I suggest you go and watch those videos. If you're interested in more details, Whitney Webb is usually really good for, even though her last name's Webb. I always look at people's names because it tells you a lot on what's going on with Palantir and the two-party system, okay? Which they're calling it the uniparty. And so it seems like they're finally beginning to disclose it to the masses. They're finally beginning to disclose to the mass Americans through channels like Redacted and that what exactly is going on with this false two-party system, because so many people believe in it. And so let's see here. see where it is. Yeah, so it's a really good interview. It'll show you really the workings of Palantir and everything they control, because apparently they're actually tied to, obviously, Israel, and Israel wants to take over 911 emergency. 911 emergency. And of course, why would they do that? Because if somebody's child disappears and you have to call 911, they'll be able to vet those calls. Like even today, when you listen to some of these 911 calls when children are being harmed or missing and stuff, they are very suspicious. There's a lot of them on TikTok, and they just sound very suspicious to me. So apparently they're undermining 911 because there's supposed to be this amazing global software that, Redacted does whistleblow, but there's supposed to be this amazing global 9/11 software that they want to roll out. All right. So that Israel wants to roll out. And so they're creating problem, reaction, solution, situation, Hegelian dialectic, so that they can institute those things. Okay. Their technology. All right. And so it's no coincidence that I want to get around to Queen Candace, Queen Candace Owens. It's no accident that it's called Palantir, because we all know about the Black Palatine Boers, right? That in this famous speech I often read out many times in my videos, when Benjamin Franklin talks about the Black Palatine Boers who are invading America when they're rebuilding America. Okay? The Black German Palatines, when he wants to make all of America white. So the Black Palatine Boers, here's the two-headed eagle. This is Edom, Esau, Edom, right? And they are very prominent in Europe. I just did a rebroadcast about the Presters, the Prester Johns. Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because I'm about to talk about Candace Owens, because I believe Candace Owens is a Black Edomite and a Black Palatine Boer, which is why, if you watch my little short video, they did her whole Svengali thing. She quickly exited her Ish platform. And the last thing she said with great marketing aplomb and prowess was, I'm going to go, I don't have the exact quote, but I'm going to go and, basically think about God. And now she's back, and man, she does some electrifying broadcasts. She's done some really good broadcasts with the Ish folk. She's really flipping the narrative on them now. And like I said, they'll be part of ushering in the Antichrist, but the Antichrist is a descendant of Nimrod. And I believe they are reanimating a clone, and perhaps the fallen angel spirit of Nimrod into a clone from the cadaver that they got of the mummified body that they brought up out of Iran from like about 7 or 8 years ago. And so I believe that this was a changeover that she is part of orchestrating. She has a specific role to play in all of this. So she's doing her live on Biden dropping out, which will be interesting. But again, the Black elite, even I had a video, I think it's still up somewhere, but they themselves, even the Ish folk themselves, have a fear of the Black Palatine Boer elites who are in Switzerland. All right. And so I go into this in my Esau Edom videos, in my Fourth Man Prester John videos. Please watch them. I go into them. But Baal means master, lord, or slave master. And I refer to this Prester John, the legend book, which is very valid. Prester John is a huge piece of history that has been removed from us regarding the church. I do rely upon the Ethiopian Bible for the proper assembly of Scripture. I don't say canon because the Catholic Church in the North has their own Canaanite assembly of the Scriptures, but I still believe that the Ethiopian text is more accurate because it was kept by the Rechabites. Please watch my video on the you can go to my TikTok channel and I talk about the Rechabites and the Rehabites, who are the descendants of the Midianites. And they will have a priest before Yahuwah forever. And I believe they kept the text for the Ethiopians. And that's why they're more reliable, because they're descendants of Abraham and Keturah. And they are descendants of Moses and Keturah, Moses and Zipporah. Okay? And so that's why I think Yah said, you will never lack to have a priest before me forever. And so I believe they held on to the integrity of the text. But as usual, Esau, Edom, when he got the advantage, he took over the identity. And so this is why Prester John it says Prester John of Ethiopia, but yet and still we have all of our black popes. This is whitewashed, but he's clearly black. And this is why we have our black aristocracy. We have our black Presters, our black Charlemagne, okay? All ruling in Europe, the black popes. And so this is the relationship that I believe that, the black Edomites, they are using the woman. They are using the woman. They are using Queen so I call her Queen Candice, because that's what they would call her. That was how they would pronounce it in Ethiopia, Queen Candace. And so in all sincerity, I find Candace Owens to be very interesting. She's fascinating. She is fascinating. She's an amazing actor, and Ha-Satan is an amazing genius adversary. And man, she be running some game. She is exciting to watch. And I pray that she would truly be saved, and I pray that she would go back to talking about her exploration of her possible identity as a Shemite, because that is what she is, even if she's a daughter of Esau, Edom. But she was the first to say, oh, Trump stood up and, shook his fist and said, fight, fight, fight. Well, when I think about it, okay, family, is the sound gone? Please put a 1 in. Okay. Oh, thumbs up. You can hear me. So when we think about this whole event, and they've done all kinds of coverage on it, they're talking about how the security people said that they couldn't put somebody where the so-called shooter was because it was too steep. But then you see a security person on an even more steeper place, and there's all kinds of details. All right. But yeah, Candace Owens, like when you look at, this is how I sum up what happened. When I first saw it, I said, oh my goodness, Trump is not the best actor. He's a really good on the spot untruther, but he's not the best actor. He's wooden. And so now, if you're somebody who's accustomed to being around weapons and everything, who goes shooting, hunting parties or whatever, you're still going to be sensitive around the sound of a gunshot. His response, and you're going to be familiar with it. And I know these people go on hunting parties and this, that, and the third. So when you hear it, but if you're a poor actor and you're expecting to hear it, and you get grazed by something, if you're not a very good actor, you may respond like you were stung by a mosquito and slap yourself on the ear, which is how that looked to me. Okay. Furthermore, how do I put this? That's if you're completely comfortable. If it was a real event, you would be you would have already rehearsed how to respond just by your security people at a potential threat of being assassinated, right? You would know what to look for, and you would be in fear because you would have been instructed to duck and run until you were sure the security issue was resolved. And your first impulse in training would be to get the HE double toothpicks out of there. Okay, to get the HE double toothpicks out of there because you don't know that they have the sniper. You're not going to stand up and shake your fist and say, fight, fight, when you haven't heard, because not only was that a foolish response and a poorly scripted and poorly acted response, but now you've put the security people around you at risk. And because you didn't duck and run and hide somewhere, all of the civilians behind you and around you are also at risk. It's a Hollywood response to a situation, but it's not a logical security response or a responsible leader response to that scenario, because he put all of those security men and all of those bystanders around him at risk by staying there. Right? So, but saying all that, so they got Candace selling that narrative. And they even had Alex Jones, the king of false flag narrative education, going along with her with this idea that there's a conspiracy with the deep state to unalive Trump, rather than the left hand and the right hand both go know what they're doing, and they're flying the same evil bird towards the destruction of America and the Gentiles. And hopefully, their hope anyway, the Yehudi Yashuralites. So, but Candace did an amazing discussion also about, oh, and it's not really here, about the music industry and the hidden satanic agenda in there. And I think she's doing that because the most uneducated, and it's I'm going to do my video on the women, the defamation of the image of the black woman, and it includes the black men too. But I'm going to go into that music industry stuff and that cult stuff in that video. But she really targets, talks to, and chooses these kind of very uneducated ghetto stars of that industry, because she's trying to draw in that uninformed, uneducated demographic that is caught in that, into the Catholic, her Catholic awakening, right? Into the Edomite Catholic Church awakening, reawakening. That's why she had her discussions with Don Lemon, okay? That's why she's partnering up with Russell Brand, who I don't know how he is. To me, he's another really bad actor. He's just like, I don't believe a word he's saying. But her interview, though, which was the most crafty and transformative with this Zionist debate with Ami Koza, is riveting. It is so good. She totally flips game on the Ish folk. They don't have a hope, because the way she ran the game using her Black Lives Matter. I don't like black people, and I think black people are victims. And when I came here, I got a job. That's the whole thing they teach all immigrants. Black people are lazy. When you see black people, just like in Jamaica, all over the world, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work crap jobs to make a living. Black people work hard in America and built America, but she still sells that narrative that black people are lazy and they're victims and all that. So she sold it so she can now turn it on these guys. You can't play victim now, she says. She's playing a hard pivot game. She's pivoting the whole ship. And I think she may come back to saying she's a Shemite. We'll see. It'll be exciting to watch how she twists that narrative. She's a real hard game player. And Hasatan is definitely an evil genius, because this is an exciting game. But let me just see what else I have to say regarding this for you guys. I just have to check my notes. I could be wrong. She could not be that, but the way she conducts herself and the name they've chosen for her, Queen Candace. We remember the Ethiopian eunuch was a servant of Queen Candace, and there were multiple Candaces, and one, I think the one at that time, I'm not sure, but there was one that was totally insane who was massacring all the Israelites, and so she was very likely an Edomite. So yeah, but she's touching on the Hasatanic elements of the music industry. And that is very interesting. And she also has brought out she was the one to bring out the whole Kyrie, Kanye thing, and to talk about her own curiousness and need and yearning to understand what her identity is. That was her best moment. So is her moment debating this guy, this Ami Kosa. Really good. The stuff she's doing with Don Lemon. Again, he tries to rope her back into the Ishfolk thing. And she's addressing the LGBTQ with him, and biblically again, all while she is shilling for the largest pedo industry in the world, the Catholic Church. Yet she's speaking against pedo. And the only larger pedo organization than the Catholic Church we're probably on par with and shaking hands with would be, the CIA and along with P. Diddy and Epstein. And P. Diddy, this is really interesting. So P. Diddy had shares in Uber all over TikTok saying, get teens a special Uber account. Why? Possibly, could it be because in a false flag event, in a fake war or a real war, just like they did in Hawaii when 2,000 kids disappeared, would they then use all these Ubers to pick up your kids? In the same way, apparently Epstein was invested in the same 911 technology that Israel is trying to take over the American 911 system. Why would that be? Why would Epstein be part of setting up the 911 software company that Israel owns? Because when you call 911 because your child disappeared, they're going to do a check to see if it's somebody they have. Possibly. Allegedly. This is all entertainment. I'm a screenwriter, you guys. I'm a writer. I'm creating narratives in my head. This is not real. This is speculation. But these are questions we need to ask. Why would Epstein be part of the 911 technology and setting it up? And why would P. Diddy be investing in Uber when it rolls out a plan to have special accounts for tweens? Just questions. Just questions. Questions we need to ask. So, but yes, I definitely believe, I would guess that Queen Candace, is a Balak Palatine Boar, and this could possibly be the connection to Palantir, the very CIA company, and its choice name. Because these companies are a lot of times, coming out of the Europeans and stuff. Anyway, we're going to go too much more into that. But we also know that Hoover was half black. Okay, his father was white, and he may have also been an Edomite. And of course, his ties to the FBI CIA, all of those things, and preventing the rise of a Black Messiah are very well known. So we're looking at the rise of Black Edom and how they're going to engineer this switch. So another thing I want to say is that, it's useful. I don't want to speak against people when I talk about the Hebrew Israelite movement referencing Kanye and Kyrie, because it's good marketing for the Hebrew Israelite movement so that people can be aware on a massive level of their true identity. And so I understand the marketing reasons to reference it and the hope that it provides, because if it's going all the way up into Satan's empire and they have to expose it, that's saying something. But it also can become a device for usurping or co-opting the whole movement, which is how I think Queen Candice may be used. But also, we never want to put our faith in Hollywood or their celebrities, which you see she's using. Queen Candace is using these young celebrities like Cardi B, who isn't even Black, and I think she had who was it now? That other mixed race girl who did the slut walk thing, Amber, whatever her name is. She's trying to support her as well to switch over to conservative and right wing. So when you see this manipulation of these players in the satanic system, that is not where you can look to for your leaders at any point in time. When it's up there, then it's being hijacked. Because listen, what is happening, and why am I bringing this up? Because what is happening right now is that, and I'm still working in the film industry, and I've talked to some of these people I'm going to mention. Hollywood is splitting into two. It's the same evil bird again, right? Two, don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. So what they're doing is they're taking the evil bird, the two-headed bird, and they are splitting Hollywood. They're trying to split it into two, and they're trying to say, people like Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg and Dennis Quaid, they're all now coming up with, and Mark Wahlberg is, saying he's a Catholic, right? And, our brother, Mr. Denzel Washington, has done all his Christian themed movies, right? So they're saying they're not the dirty Hollywood. That's what they're trying to say. They're trying to say, we didn't sell out. We've always been clean. We never sold out. We're the good guys. And so we're just going to go off and do our own Hollywood. We're just going to go off and do our own Hollywood now. And we're going to be believing in God, believing in Jesus, and we're going to set that up. And so this is another kind of way for them to transfer power and set up new spiritual celebrities, brands, icons you already know. And this is why you cannot be seduced by these idols and icons, these celebrities, because they are already bought by and sold to and owned by Hasatan. So you cannot look to them for your salvation or your affirmation. And a lot of the signs of, to me, the false religions are speaking in tongues, Catholicism, apostolic movements. Polygamy is always going to be part of it, because pedolygyny is always part of a false religion. So it's always going to tie in polygamy. Yeah, and Mel Gibson also, and Jim Caviezel, Mark Wahlberg, all of these guys and then they've got Russell Brand. So they're bringing together their Antichrist kingdom brand and their new celebrities that they want you to worship and follow. And so you cannot really trust when your leaders are seeking validation from celebrities and saying, I know I'm going to be successful when the mainstream media and celebrities are promoting my work, my content, especially if you're promoting polygamy at the same time and speaking in tongues, because that's how the speaking in tongues is how you speak the backward satanic language to impart demonic spirits, as in the Toronto blessing movement, okay, which is why when Yahusha came, Yahushua, he had to cast demons out of everybody because that spirit of Delphi was being cast into people and they were being filled with demonic possession. And then they also were practicing the pedo and the sacrifice. This is the system. The Catholic Church is pedo. The CIA is pedo. Okay? So you cannot lean on these celebrities as the litmus test for your awakening or leadership. When the 144 is set apart by Yahweh in a great and supernatural movement, that's when you can see your leader will be identified. Your leader will be identified. And they're going to be strong enough. You're going to find out that they have led people out of spiritual bondage. They have been pastors. They have done the deep work. Okay? But you don't follow anybody. You follow Yahushai. I know everybody who listens to this channel. Welcome, Karen Hubbard. Welcome, everybody. I know you guys know this. I know Mishpaka, I know you know this. Yaladeen, I know you know this. But it can't be said too often. Do not look to these celebrities because do you see the setup here, family? Do you see the setup? I mean, I'm going to be popping back the popcorn and watching because it's exciting. I mean, Candace is a pretty dazzling performer. However, we have to remain in the truth. We have to remain in the truth. And we keep our eyes on Yahushua and Yahweh, and we do the deep work, the fasting and the prayer. So Tisha B'Av, as I said, on the 24th, that's coming up. So purify your temple so it doesn't get invaded and torn down. And we're entering into a war here. I'm gonna go and see what they're saying about Biden. Let's see, actually. So he's endorsing Kamala. I have to tell you this. I reached out to a false prophet who I think is a false prophet in a letter a few weeks ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago. And I said, you've taken some of my prophecies. Some of your prophecies are things that insiders would know if they were inside the beast system, basically. And let's see if your Kamala Harris prophecy comes true. The next day, they put out what many would interpret to be a false kind of poll on Kamala Harris because her ratings are so low. They are lower than Biden's because they are saying that a lot of Black women obviously would not vote for her. She was responsible for having African American families. I can't find the story, but it's something like this. Don't quote me on this. We're fighting fires like prisoners with their own families present in the region. I think it was, what's her name, who did a story on it. She's on African Diaspora News Channel. Vicky Dillard did a story on that. And she's been as bad for Black people as Obama has, if not worse. And she has a very low rating. And her mother is East Indian. Her father is West Indian, but her mother is an East Indian woman. And a lot of people don't consider her to be a Black woman. And they are always looking to see, what do Black women think of her in the Black vote? And so they're trying this cheap, cheesy, go for the Black woman, Kamala's Black, but she's done so little for the African diaspora in America. And she doesn't, I think there is like a lot of memes out there when she pretended to be Black for once, when they said, when she was voted in as vice president, and they said, are you going to give, I'm not sure if it was vice president or her seat, but they said, are you going to give any special advantages to the Black community? And she said, oh, I'm not going to do that. She started working her neck and saying, I'm not giving Black people any special advantages. No, girl. I'm doing that. So that was the only time she was really Black, apparently. So it's all kind of optics. And I think she's being set up as the enemy in this dichotomy they're setting up. So it's going to be Trump versus Kamala, Black, because it's got to be Black versus white, right? It's got to be the checkerboard, so that the right hand can control what the left hand is doing, right? So it's got to be, they want a race riot, they want everyone divided, they want something that will be explosive. So you got to have a Black player on the chessboard and a white player on the chessboard. You got to have a right wing and a left wing. You have to have a woman versus, these two are going to embody all of the dichotomies, so that whoever wins or doesn't win, there will be an explosion. Okay? So that's the narrative they're setting up. They're not setting it up because the Democrats want Kamala and everything is real and she's a legitimate candidate. No, it's a narrative. And they want an explosive ending to this. They want an extremely conflicted narrative, so that when the invasions and all that stuff happen, they can flip the script. They can yank the neck of the dog and in the direction they want them going. Okay? Am I making sense? Yeah, I haven't heard her make a clear speech since she became public. Yes, because she's on the same stuff that Biden's on. They're controlled, and they're doing the what do you want? The prions, we'll call it, the chrome. They're doing the chrome, right? And so it messes with you because it's defilement, and so the serpent takes system over. And so they're doing those rituals, and it causes them to be like Alzheimer's patients. She's because when you're dealing with somebody who is the seed, especially like I think her male seed, her father's seed is of the seed, you have to do some serious compromise on their system to put them into submission spiritually to those demonic forces. And so that's why she's just always glitching. And she did seem to pick up a bit after a while, but I guess she had to go through all her rituals and she was real glitchy. I've heard her sound a little more articulate more recently. So maybe they have just cleaned out her system a bit so she can be a little clearer, but we shall see. But the point of this is to have, a good guy, a bad guy, black and white, extreme dichotomy going on. And an explosion when the inside invasion happens, whenever it's going to happen. I don't know, family, that hasn't been revealed to me. But yeah, let me just go through my notes here because, I want to end on a positive note. So to sum up, it seems like the Trump situation was an FALSE, FLAG situation setting up for this narrative, this dichotomy of black and white, male versus female, all of these explosive elements that can allow them to control the masses and sway the emotions. Okay. I believe that, and you tell me and give me an answer in the chat. Was this situation with this crash a warning? Was it a yank on the leash also to say, look what we control? Was it also set up to provide an opportunity to have Israel take over the 911 system? All right. Was it set up to say, look what we can do? And I mean, the name of the company, what was it? Crowd Strike? Is it actually? I mean, they hide everything in plain sight. Was it a crowd strike? Deliberate? That is the question. Because there are so many ways that they could have prevented it. All right. And do you think, family, that the Gentiles are going to finally start to wake up to the uniparty masked as a two-party system? Do you think they're going to see the two heads on the evil bird, the right and the left wing, finally? And will it be too late? I think obviously it's going to be too late. It's already too late right now. So that's the stuff I wanted to go over and prepare. But the real thing to do is to prepare for the emergency, family, to prepare to emerge from the sea of the nations and prepare for an emergency. And that means, obviously having all your supplies and everything in order. But it means to be obviously spiritually prepared. And the warning is to stay away from these wicked idols and the false Christ, the Esau's Christ of Queen Candace. The Esau's Christ of Queen Candace and Esau Edom. All right? To stay awake from that whole Antichrist train that's riding. All right? And to not be seduced by the narratives that will be coming out through the various avenues, through the idols, through the celebrities. All right, the celebrities in the film industry and the things they're creating, the Mark Wahlbergs and Denzel Washingtons and the works they're doing, right? And not to be seduced by the Kanyes and the Kyries and look to them as your measure of awakening. Or Candace, who's now, she's talking about, flat earth. She's talking about all of these subjects that we, and many others have been talking about for 7 years. And now, because it's reached up to the realm of Hasatan, now they can dilute it and redirect the water course of the hearts of the people towards this Catholic Christ. Okay? That is the setup that we are seeing, family. But, we don't want to be seduced by these celebrities. We're not looking for a celebrity leader, the 144 identified. And let me tell you, so I am warning you, and I'm warning those who are believing in the polygamy. We just saw very clearly, I don't know if you guys saw with Hebrew Nation building, what they just went through with that couple who were Hebrew Israelites who had come out of LGBTQ, both the male and the female, and had a child. And the amount of confusion they're dealing with because they're pushed into marriage when they need to just remain celibate until Yahweh can deal with them in the crossover and heal them. Because Yah was saying to me, I was just crying yesterday because he showed me, he said, our people just don't know. Look at all these deep teachings that are conveyed that even just the regular of us, it can take some of us weeks to get it. And we're in the word. So there are those of our people who Yahweh is just like the LGBTQ, he's just going to have to bring them along supernaturally in the spirit and transform them. But to be encouraging polygyny, which to me allies with with pedogeny, to me is part of a setup for an Ethiopic kingdom, possibly, that Queen Candace and others may lead us into, the Black Edomites. Because let me say this, and I don't have the scripture in front of me right now, but it says that Eden, and I have to double check it, Eden will be transplanted to Zion. Zion will, scripture says Zion will be like the Garden of Eden, but there's actually another scripture that says it will be transplanted. So the kingdom is hidden, Darfur, the door to the kingdom. Okay? The door to the kingdom is not going to be what the popular common narrative is, what the big channels, Hebrew Israelite are promoting. Okay, to me, I'm seeing everything shaping up towards Queen Candace, Ethiopic, Black Edomite / Israelite, kingdom, where there's going to be a black kind of Nimrod, possibly, could be white. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just saying, be on guard. I'm just looking at all the pieces of the puzzle on the table and kind of seeing something taking shape on the enemy's side, but we're going to focus on Yahweh's side. And he shows me a lot. I've been seeing 144, the number 144 everywhere. Like I was riding behind a bus with 144 on it. I've been doing things, and that number 144 is coming up constantly. I know where I'm going, family. Do you know where you're going? Are you going to follow after men, or are you going to follow after Yahweh? Until that 144 is identified, don't follow none of these people. You don't need to pay attention to Candace and all of these celebrities and everything. Just keep your head in the word, because I think I'm pretty discerning. And I think if I was just a regular person who didn't have my media background, didn't have my biblical background, didn't have all of that stuff going on, the discernment in the Ruach HaKodesh primarily, you could easily get lost. And so stay prayerful, fast, pray, study your word. And Yahuwah is more powerful than all of these. He is more powerful than all of these. So walk circumspectly. As they say, keep your head on a swivel. I'm really grateful for all the brothers like Benaiah Israel and Woke Now who are protecting the women and the children. Okay? And walking in righteousness, and who are showing forth a wonderful example. Hallelujah. But Yahweh says he has comforted Zion. He has comforted all of her wastes, and she setteth her wilderness as Eden, her desert as the garden of Yahweh. Okay, so like I said, her wilderness will be as Eden, her desert as the garden of Yahweh. So we have to only look to the leadership of Yahweh. And family, I'm not saying, I'm saying I love these wonderful men who are our leaders in Yasharel, but I am not hearing edifying preaching that is teaching you how to transform, as we see in the New Testament, how to cling to Yah, how to change, how to submit, giving alms, give alms, family, to the poor, to one another, people who need it. Give your tithe to your priests. And thank you, all of you who send me money. I'm just always so surprised. Praise Yah, I'm so grateful. But most of all because I appreciate it because it makes me feel like we're in the same place. Most of all, it's not necessarily even the cash. If somebody sends me like $10, I'm like, it just lets me know that everyone's in the truth and we're in agreement. We're in unity with the Ruach HaKodesh. It's encouraging. So I thank you so much for it. It's really, it encourages me. It helps keep me going. You guys really help keep me going. And so, but as I said, I don't know if you guys went to my page, because my sister sent me the genetics. And this is, see, I don't go by what, to what teachers say or whatever always. I kind of, go by the Ruach HaKodesh. And, sorry, I got off track on Biden stepping down, you guys. I'm kind of, oh, you know me, stream of consciousness here. But yeah, this is apparently our genetics. My sister does this stuff. I don't do it because I'm like, they're not getting my genetics. But if they got hers, they got mine, right? So this is the L3 root, which comes from this region. So it's not the L genes are the female mitochondrial DNA. There's 3 of them, and they're the closest to Eve. And the L3 in particular is the closest, is rooted in this region, is rooted right here where Darfur is, where Ethiopia is, where Kenya is, and everything. And scattered into the Congo is in Niger and the Sudan right now. So Sudan. So interesting, right? That's my DNA. But, for the men and the women, the nation is called the daughter, Zion, the daughter. All right, because the nation is the bride of Yahweh. And so I posted this. I'm sure many of you saw it. Maybe some of you didn't. But we can feel like none seeketh after Yasharel. But what Yahweh says is, sing, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Yasharel. Be glad and rejoice with all the heart, O daughter of Yerushalayim. For Yahweh hath taken away thy judgments. He has cast out thine enemy. The King of Israel, even Yahweh, is in the midst of thee, and thou shalt not see evil anymore. In that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, fear not, and to Zion, let not thine hands be slack. Yahuwah thy Elohim in the midst of thee is mighty, and he will save thee. He will rejoice over thee with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over thee with singing. I will gather them that are sorrowful of the solemn assembly, who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out. And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. And at that time will I bring you again, even at that time will I gather you. I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith Yahuwah. So no celebrity, no big numbers, YouTube or TV icon is going to be turning us back, but he, Yahweh himself, to his glory through miracles and signs and wonders and revelations. Family, I want to encourage you. I did have the video out about tough and tender in times of tribulation, and an article about that. And as well, I did a video that just got like no views. It was on prayer. Just listen to it, family, to prayers that prevail, how to pray, a weapon for these times. just you can listen to that before you go to sleep at night, and it'll help you to pray and help you to stay in Yah's pocket. It'll help you to stay in the pocket and keep your faith up. That's why I put it there. It's long, but I do pray in it, and it reminds you of how to pray, how to stay prayed up. All right. And of course, reading the Psalms. Um, and for a lot of you who really know your Old Testament, get into that New Testament, into, the book of Peter and James, to understand how to be transformed, how to walk in the Spirit, how to walk in humility, um, to walk in repentance, to submit to Yahuwah, because this is the only way to do it. And this is I literally listen to this video before I go to bed. I listen to my own video. I listen to it because it builds my faith up. Okay. So I really encourage you. It's just me talking about how to pray, and I pray a bit and stuff, but you can just pray as you're listening to it, as I go into the various scriptures and stuff. It will really encourage you, because with all of this history and everything is fine, but the people who like, I really loved Hebrew Nation Building, because they were in the same kind of stuff that I was in when they were talking about Araka restoration and how to submit, and how to submit in the darkness and understand the stages of transformation, and to praise in the trial. When you look at it from a really Hebraic perspective and walking in the Spirit, it becomes more glorifying and edifying and strengthening. Praise you, daughter of Zion. Hallelujah. And so I really encourage you to listen to that, listen to Tough and Tender. I'm going to try to do more messages, because I am counseling somebody right now on how to get out of, fornication relationships, just filthy relationships. And like, how did I move away from that? So that's what I've had to walk through spiritually with somebody. I'm walking through them with that. How do you transfer your first love, your heart and soul, to Yahweh, and away from the filthy idols of this world and the illusions they put in your mind to keep you attached to things like sexual immorality and that kind of thing. So these are the battles we have to know how to fight, just in the real, with our feet on the ground, and our daily prayers. And I am not hearing a preacher out there preaching those words. I think of maybe one on TikTok, those words of edification that build up your spirit. I had to go to my elder this week, and she really helped build me up. But those preachers who will give you a message to build up your spirit, strengthen your spirit in the Ruach HaKodesh, about the internal workings, all of this history to affirm our identity and prophecy and interpretation of the times, is such a blessing, and it is useful, because I am a watchwoman and I am a teacher, and I try to keep you guys on the appointed times. Yeah, does it really? Because you guys, I'm just not really that organized. I got so much running through me in terms of understanding and knowledge and study and word and all this, that Yah literally has to orient me around, because so much is passing through me. So, yeah, we really have to stay strong in our faith in the Spirit, and clinging to Yahuwah, clinging to Yahusha's robe, and fasting as well, emptying ourselves of ourselves. And me, I struggle with humility. Yah has given me thorns, for sure. I got thorns. I have to, because I struggle with humility. It's really impatience. And he just broke my heart the other day, because he was just like, they just don't know, Rachel. And it's too far of a gap for them to leap across when I'm explaining concepts and ideas and building on line upon line. They need that simplicity, which we hear through wonderful teachers of woke now. He really simplifies things, and so does Benaiah, so does Teo. But It's the simplicity of walking in the spirit and the love of Yahusha. Yahusha. Because when we are walking, that is the fundamental, because the Hebrews have become vain, and this is why they fall off into polygamy and sexual sin, because it's flesh. It's the fail us worship. It's the fail us worship. The fail us failed us. It is not the fail us of the Hebrew Israelite man that saved. It was Yahusha himself. His seed is our salvation. And so when we're not clinging to him and pressing in and seeking him and walking in obedience and humility and burning ourselves on the altar of his image to be conformed to him, then the Israelites become bankrupt, because it's all like, I'm hearing preachers and they just complaining about what white people did to us and this, that, and the third. And I know I do it too. I'm guilty of this, all of this. So I'm preaching to myself. And it leads you into a fleshly law can save mentality. And when you're off into something like believing in polygamy, which is pure lawlessness, then you know you're in your flesh. And this is not all about complaining against the Gentiles. It's having faith, because you, as a leader in Zion, in the second the Machpelah, the return again, the second rulership of the 1,000-year reign, you have to be transformed. So the Gentiles are not going to be coming after the Hebrew Israelites because of their polygamy. Anyone who has half a brain in their head can read the Bible and know that that's not it. But because our brothers have been so corrupted through sin, and literally they've been whored out, the Israelite men have been whored out. And so they're so steeped in sexual immorality. I'm not talking about our beautiful brothers who have maintained the faith and are great examples that I just love. And they really teach me, they bless me, and they're looking after the women and the children, and they're standing up for the orphans, and hallelujah. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about, you're falling off into polygamy as your salvation, you have lost it. And not a single Gentile, especially a Christian, is going to line up behind you. Maybe a Muslim will. But no, or maybe somebody who's in sin will. But this is why everyone's running back to Christianity, because of that foolishness. But as for our brothers and sisters who are actually caught up in that and thinking that's true and everything, Yah says to me, he's just like, they don't know. They just don't know. And so he's going to have to work a work in them. He's just going to have to work a work in their hearts, just like he did the first time. The first time this is why he avenges, because he has to show Yasharel right from wrong. Hallelujah, Rania. I'm so glad to hear you agreeing. And you too, Jerome, because I need to hear it from you guys. Sometimes I think I'm the only one. That's just vanity, but nonetheless, I do sometimes. Vanity. I was thinking, oh, I'm just the only one who knows. Yeah. And he's like, you know what he said to Ezra is, it's not possible for you to love my children more than I do. So don't act like you know better. So Yah is in control, and it is not possible for any of us to love his children more than he does. So he is going to save. He's going to save his children, because he said all of Israel will be saved. And so with that, family, may Yah bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine on you. May he be gracious, lift the light of his countenance, and give you shalom. And I hope that I got everything here, family. I know I kind of was all over the place. It's a lot of stuff going on. And if I don't just do this, it's never going to come out, because the time it takes for me to organize all of this, yeah, it's a bit of I wouldn't even be up here. But know that Yah will provide understanding in that moment, and his mercy is upon all of us. And he is worthy, he is trustworthy, as long as, you know, we have to go back. We have to have our preachers back, because it's almost like we're stepping into, we're already almost in a famine of the word, because I rarely hear a good preacher where I feel like I had a steak dinner. I can learn a lot and I can teach you guys a lot of information, but in terms of that work of transformation of the spirit man to the new man, to the 144 man, I don't know, maybe I got to do it. So, but we need to hear that from our brothers. We don't need to hear about polygamy. We do need the history and the restoration, because Yah is restoring. I'm not putting that down, but we need some salvific preaching. We need that salvific walk preaching, the Gimel, how to walk maturely, how to eat that meat, you know, and how to give the milk to the other ones. So, Baruch Abba Yahuwah. Hallelujah, Abba Yah. Subah Yahuwah Reb Aleph Yasharel. Oh, turn Yahuwah to the countless thousands of Yasharel. Thank you for listening, fam. I'm going to let you go. I've been on here too long already. I tried to keep it short, but so much is going on. I just hope this has blessed you. I hope you're able to receive it. That's really my heart, that you're able to receive it. And I hope you've been able to. And bless all of you who are watching. Hallelujah. Rania, Jerome, daughter of Zion, Amarachi, Baruch sis. What's my handle? I hope you all have been liking, and please share this video, fam, because you know I'm on the shadow ban. My highest number was 45. So, and please, guys, if you're moderating, please encourage the thumbs up. Thank you, family. Please encourage the thumbs up, because that really helps. Please share this video. If everybody right now, because I only see 4 thumbs up right now, if everybody who is watching can please right now hit the thumbs up, right now hit the thumbs up. I didn't even go into thumbs up. And moderators, I'm not trying to chastise you, but you know I don't do that. I'm a Canadian. I think that's like talking about money. You don't talk about money. So I just really ask you, moderators, your job is to moderate and to encourage people to hit the thumbs up building button. I need you to do that, because it is very important, and I'm just not good at it. And it's too distracting for me doing a live to focus on that, because you see how much I'm processing. Anyway, fam, I hope it has been good for you. Please go to intoalltruth.net and get yourself a calendar, sign up for a membership. Please send me an email if you are interested in prayer. I really want to get back to prayer. I'm just going to have to start doing it, even if it's just 2 people, because I will send out an email. But this is where you come to my website, intoalltruth.net, and sign up for a membership where you can get the resources, the calendar, and the lifestyle book. And if you need to learn about fasting and Hebraic diet, it's the perfect place to come to. I almost want to post some of my videos. But yeah, become a member. And also you can sign up for the prayer group here. Okay? Sign up for the prayer group, listen to some of Elliston Stone's music. And with that, family, I'm going to say shalom and thank you for listening in. Sorry if I went over. I love you all in Yahuwah. Shalom.